Oh, we have a visitor. I don't think I'm supposed to be down here. But hey, it's quiet. I needed a place to film, so sue me. Anyway, the unpopular one is back, and today I wanted to talk about proof that we live in a kind of Monsters Inc. trauma-based loosh farm. But I do have spiritual eyes, and I kind of look at life in a shamanic kind of way. And it's basically, we don't see everything that surrounds us that's out there. In other words, there are invisible entities, or there's an invisible wildlife beyond what we can perceive with our optical lens, which only picks up the colours in between, or the light colours, light spectrum in between infrared and ultraviolet. Although, you know, we don't even want to limit ourselves with those kinds of thoughts. Because there are those thoughts where like, well, we only use like 10% of our brain. It's like, well, how can you categorically say that that's the case for everyone? You know what I mean? I mean, you come across the kind of genius types, the inventor types, and they're obviously using way more of their brain function than, let's say, the average NPC you might see. The average Joe on the street. But anyway, yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, proof that we live in a kind of playground for maybe other parasitic ethereal entities that may be surrounding us that we don't actually see with our eyes as they are at the minute. Although when you get into spiritual states, meditations and trance states, and you know, if you maybe can take ayahuasca or, you know, mushrooms, things like that, you probably will see these entities. Anyway, what I was talking about was, I was researching a lot about the condition we call Tourette's syndrome. And I've watched a fair amount of documentaries. I think even Louis Theroux did one on it. He's done a lot on kind of mental conditions, so I'm not sure if that was one of his documentaries, but I've definitely seen a documentary where children were suffering from it, and I was really trying to figure out what this was about. I'm like, what is it that's making someone have a tic, so to speak, an involuntary tic, that makes them say like swear words or inappropriate things in public places, which you know is going to alarm people, do you know what I mean, and cause maybe a traumatic response from people. Because obviously this realm, the people here, we've been kind of programmed to be word controlled, haven't we? I mean, obviously with all the censorship that's going on, and you're not allowed to say certain things on the internet without maybe AI removing your comment, or you getting flagged and having the police come and visit you or whatever. So we're definitely a word controlled, and we shouldn't be that, because I mean this place wants you to be that we shouldn't be that, because it's just not a good place to be. You shouldn't be living on the surface of your skin to where you can be jolted into a traumatic response, do you know what I mean? So, growing up, I mean, here's my example of seeing one of these ethereal entities that I've also read other people have experienced as well. I remember growing up and I watched the movie Arachnophobia, you know that movie with loads of spiders taking over a town because a poisonous spider mated with a tarantula or something, and it created this new species of spider that instantly killed people. It's quite a brutal film if you have arachnophobia, which I did growing up, because I don't know, I mean, they're a hard one to kind of, a hard creature to have empathy for, because they're so like predatorial and still and alien to our humanity, for instance, aren't they? And we probably had to avoid them at all costs back in the day when we were living more in nature, in natural places. Even though spiders are always in your house. They always find a way in, don't they? I don't know how they do that. Yeah, so I finished watching the film, and then I went to bed. I must have been like 9 or 10, somewhere in that ballpark of age. And I was just laying in bed, and I was just staring at the wall, as you do when you try to get to sleep. And I had Garfield wallpaper, so there's a comic strips to read. But anyway, all of a sudden, I saw coming out of nowhere, out of the ether, was this giant, well not giant, but a tarantula-sized, translucent spider being coming out of nowhere, appearing, manifesting, and then coming towards me, like really slowly, like not how spiders are in the physical realm. They're quite fast, aren't they? Especially those jumping spiders. But it was coming at me really slowly, like, and moving its legs. And I was just like, what the hell is that coming at me? So as you do when you're a kid, before it approached my face, I just put the cover over my head and pretended it didn't exist, like you do, you know. Like you do if someone's breaking into your house, you just put the cover over your head, don't you? And they go away magically like that. So yeah, I saw what I've heard other people describe as these ethereal spiders, and apparently they attach themselves to you, and then they're just like kind of sucking your life force out of you if they manage to find probably a weak spot in your electromagnetic field or auric field. They can slot themselves in and start, like, you know, probably draining your life force. And I think I heard someone, I think it might have been Stuart Wilde. Now he's a good mystic to look into. He kind of explored a lot of these other dimensions, like in a conscious state. Here's a spider there. And came back with a lot of like good information. In my opinion, I've never heard anyone else talk about the ethereal realms as he did when he was alive. But yeah, he said that they're mainly attached to like drug addicts, you know, like meth heads, people that dabble in those kind of artificial, kind of white powdered drugs. The ethereal spiders find it easier to attach to those people, and it probably makes them want to keep doing the same, you know, drug to feed that entity. I think, you know, you can't discard that as an explanation as to why people are addicted to things and what addiction is all about.